Have you ever wondered how Grandma always made everything taste better, last longer, and waste nothing? Somehow, she could stretch a pot of stew for days, keep fruit fresh without a fridge, and whip up remedies from whatever was in the pantry. It wasn't magic. It was good old-fashioned wisdom, passed down through generations. She knew things that no cookbook ever taught, little habits, quiet routines, and clever shortcuts made her kitchen run like clockwork. And today, we're unlocking 31 of her oddly useful food hacks, the kind you'll wish you knew years ago. These aren't just tips, they're timeless secrets that can still change how we cook, store, and enjoy food every day. Before we dig in, don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and give this video a thumbs up if you love smart, simple food hacks that still work today. Now, let's head straight into Grandma's kitchen. Hack number 1, the salted apple trick. Grandma didn't let apple slices turn brown on her watch. When she prepped apples for a pie or fruit salad, she added a pinch of salt to a bowl of water and soaked the slices for a few minutes. That little saltwater bath stopped the browning and didn't change the taste. It's a trick that beats lemon juice, cheaper, easier, and gentler. Try it next time you pack apple slices for lunch. It's especially useful for kids' snacks, where appearance matters. Nobody wants to eat brown, mushy fruit, even if it tastes fine. Plus, salt water doesn't leave the fruit tasting salty. The rinse afterward takes care of that. Grandma used this trick not only for apples, but also for pears and even peeled potatoes before mashing them. It's one of those small steps that quietly make a big difference. Hack number 2. Butter the cheese grater. Grating cheese can be a sticky mess, but Grandma had a clever trick. She rubbed a bit of butter or oil on the grater before using it. The cheese slid right off, no clumps, no waste. It also made cleanup a breeze. This is especially handy with softer cheeses like mozzarella or cheddar that like to cling for dear life. If you've ever grated cheese and spent more time cleaning the grater than enjoying your meal, this trick is a game changer. The butter acts as a barrier and creates just enough slip to keep the cheese moving. It even helped protect her fingers. No more wrestling with stuck chunks or using excessive pressure. You could also use nonstick spray if you're in a hurry, but Grandma's go-to was always a little dab of real butter from the dish sitting on the counter. Hack number 3, freeze leftover tomato paste in spoons. Ever open a can of tomato paste just to use a tablespoon and forget the rest in the fridge until it turns into a science project? Grandma didn't let that happen. She'd scoop individual tablespoons onto a baking sheet, freeze them, and store them in a bag. Next time a recipe called for tomato paste, she just popped one out. No waste, no guilt. It was portion control at its finest, and it made cooking spontaneous meals much easier. Whether it was chili, stew, or a quick pasta sauce, she never had to open another full can. The frozen paste cubes also thawed quickly. Just toss them straight into a hot pan, no prep needed. Sometimes she'd freeze them in ice cube trays too, especially when she needed larger or mixed amounts. It's the kind of smart planning that saves money and time in the long run. Hack number 4. Keep brown sugar soft with bread. Brown sugar turns into bricks fast. But Grandma tossed a slice of bread into the container, and that was that. The sugar stayed soft and scoopable for weeks. The bread gives up moisture slowly, keeping the sugar just right, not too wet, not too dry. She'd replace the slice every few days, and it always worked like a charm. This trick saved her from having to chip away at rock-hard sugar with a spoon or toss it all together. She even used the same method with cookies to keep them chewy, and if she ran out of bread, a slice of apple or a damp paper towel in a plastic wrap worked in a pinch. The goal was always the same: keep ingredients usable longer and never let good food go to waste. Hack number 5. Turn leftover pickle juice into magic. When the last pickle vanished, Grandma didn't toss the juice. That briny goodness became marinade for chicken, dressing for potato salad, or even a quick flavor boost in soups. Pickle juice is packed with herbs, vinegar, and salt, a built-in seasoning powerhouse. Waste not, flavor more. She used it to tenderize meats, cut through richness in stews, and even mixed it into deviled eggs for a tangy twist. Some days, she'd pour a little over coleslaw or shred carrots right into it for a quick pickled snack. And believe it or not, she sometimes sipped it straight for a shot of energy and electrolytes. What most folks tossed out, Grandma turned into gold. Hack number 6. Wrap celery in foil to keep it crisp. Grandma didn't let celery wilt in plastic bags. She wrapped it tight in foil and stashed it in the fridge. It stayed crisp for weeks, almost as if it had just been picked. The foil lets it breathe just enough to stop rotting while keeping moisture locked in. If your celery's always floppy, give this a try. It worked because it avoided the sweaty, sealed environment of plastic, which often causes vegetables to spoil faster. She'd trim the ends first, wrap the stalks tightly but not crushed, and leave it on the lower fridge shelf. That way, it was always ready for soups, stews, or a fresh crunch with peanut butter. Even celery leaves were saved, dried for seasoning, or tossed into broth. Nothing got tossed before it served its purpose. Hack number 7. Cool boiled eggs, instantly with ice water. Hard-boiled eggs are great until they won't peel. Grandma knew the fix. She dropped them straight from the boiling pot into a bowl of ice water. It shocked the membrane inside the shell and made peeling a breeze. No more eggy craters. Smooth, perfect eggs every time. She'd leave them in the icy bath for about 10 minutes, letting the shells loosen naturally. This method also stopped the cooking process right away, keeping the yolks bright yellow and tender, never with that gray-green ring. Whether she was making egg salad, deviled eggs, or slicing them over toast, her eggs always look picture perfect, and the trick works like a charm every single time, no matter how fresh the eggs are. Hack number 8. Save bacon grease for everything. When Grandma fried bacon, she poured the grease into a jar. That jar stayed by the stove, and she used it to cook eggs, fry potatoes, or flavor beans. A spoonful added depth and comfort to so many dishes. It wasn't just about saving fat, it was about adding soul to food. The jar was filtered through a mesh or cheesecloth to catch crumbs and kept tightly sealed. She used it instead of butter and cornbread, or swirled it into green beans for an instant upgrade. Even plain rice tasted better with just a bit stirred in. Nothing brought that smoky, savory flavor like real bacon drippings. And to her, it was more than a cooking tool. It was tradition in a jar. Hack number 9. Store tomatoes upside down. If you ever wondered why Grandma's tomatoes lasted so long, here's the secret. She stored them upside down, stem side down, on the counter. That stopped air from creeping in around the stem, slowing spoilage. She also never refrigerated them, because cold ruins the texture and flavor. Letting them ripen at room temperature gave them the best taste. If she had too many, she'd line them up on a windowsill, red, plump, and sun-kissed. This trick kept them juicy and flavorful for days longer than usual. Hack number 10. Use a spoon to peel ginger. Forget the peeler. Grandma grabbed a teaspoon and gently scraped the skin off ginger. It peeled like magic, especially around the knobby corners. No waste, no mess, and way safer than using a knife. It's the simplest way to get that zesty goodness without frustration. Plus, using a spoon meant she could control the pressure and avoid cutting off too much flesh. Ginger was precious in her kitchen. Every bit mattered. And this method preserved flavor while protecting fingers. Hack number 11. Revive wilted greens with ice water spinach, lettuce, herbs. When they got sad and floppy, Grandma gave them a second chance. She dunked them in a bowl of ice water for 15 minutes, and they perked right up. The cold shocked the cells back to life, turning wilted leaves into crisp greens ready for salad again. She'd gently pat them dry and store them in a towel-lined bowl. This meant fewer grocery trips, less waste, and fresh greens ready whenever she needed them, even days later. Hack number 12. Clean cast iron with salt, not soap? Never on cast iron. Grandma used coarse salt and a paper towel to scrub her skillets clean. The salt acted like tiny scrubbing crystals that cleaned without stripping the seasoning. Then she'd wipe it dry and rub a bit of oil on the surface. Her pans were non-stick before non-stick was a thing. This simple method kept them in pristine shape, passed down for decades. She always said, "A well-loved skillet never needed soap, just respect and a little salt." Hack number 13. Use vinegar to keep berries fresh. Fresh berries spoil fast. Grandma gave them a vinegar bath, 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water. She rinsed them, let them dry fully, and stored them in a paper towel-lined container. The vinegar killed mold spores before they had a chance to grow. Her strawberries lasted a week or more, and she always made sure not to wash them until she was ready to store them properly. No sogginess, no mush. Just plump, clean berries that stayed fresher longer. Hack number 14. Turn stale bread into croutons. When bread got stale, Grandma didn't toss it. She cubed it, tossed it with oil and herbs, and baked it into golden croutons. They were crunchy, savory, and way better than store-bought. She even used them in stuffing or ground them into breadcrumbs for meatloaf. No loaf ever went to waste. She'd also season them differently depending on the meal, garlic and thyme for soup, or cinnamon and sugar for a sweet twist. One old slice became something new and delicious. Hack number 15. Freeze herbs in olive oil. When herbs started to wilt, Grandma chopped them up and froze them in ice cube trays with olive oil. 1 cube was perfect for sautéing vegetables or starting soups. It kept the flavor locked in and made cooking faster. Just drop and go. She did this with parsley, basil, thyme, and even rosemary. This method saved her from tossing wilted greens and made her sauces extra fragrant. Plus, it meant a splash of summer flavor even in the middle of winter. Hack number 16. Let pancake batter rest. Grandma never cooked pancakes right after mixing the batter. She let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes. That gave the flour time to absorb the liquid and air bubbles to settle. The result? Fluffier, more tender pancakes that cooked evenly. It's a tiny weight that makes a big difference. She often mixed the batter while the griddle heated up or while setting the table. This short pause turned ordinary pancakes into a Sunday morning tradition. Soft, golden, and melt in your mouth good. Hack number 17. Store onions and potatoes separately. Onions and potatoes never sat side by side in Grandma's pantry. She knew that onions released gases that made potatoes sprout faster. By storing them separately, cool, dark, and dry, both lasted much longer. 1 shelf for onions, another for potatoes. Simple separation, serious results. She also placed apples with potatoes when she wanted to slow sprouting, and mesh bags or baskets kept the airflow steady. No damp, moldy surprises. It was organized, practical, and it worked every time. Hack number 18. Stretch milk with water in recipes. When milk ran low, Grandma didn't panic. She stretched it with a bit of water for recipes like pancakes, muffins, or casseroles. The flavor held up just fine, and no one noticed. It was all about making the most of what she had, especially when a grocery trip wasn't an option. She'd only use it in cooked dishes, never in cereal or coffee, and she'd carefully measure to avoid thinning it too much. Her motto? Use what you've got and make it work. Hack number 19. Use ice cubes to defat soup. After making a rich soup, Grandma floated a few ice cubes in the pot. Fat clung to the cold cubes, making it easy to scoop out. Sometimes she'd chill the soup and scrape off the solidified fat the next day. Either way, her soups were rich but never greasy. This made the dish feel lighter, especially after a heavy meal. Plus, she said it helped the flavors shine through without the heaviness. Perfect for broth-based recipes and creamy chowders alike. Hack number 20. Add a pinch of sugar to tomato sauce. Tomatoes can be sharp and acidic. Grandma mellowed the flavor with a pinch of sugar. Just a tiny bit brought balance and depth without making it sweet. She trusted taste more than labels, and her sauces always had that smooth, comforting finish. Sometimes she used a grated carrot instead for natural sweetness. It was all about instinct and balance, letting the tomato's natural brightness shine while gently rounding the edges. One little pinch, and the whole dish came together beautifully. Hack number 21. Use potato peels for crispy snacks. Peeling potatoes? Grandma never threw out the skins. She tossed them in a little oil, sprinkled salt or paprika, and baked them until golden and crisp. What could have gone in the trash turned into a crunchy snack. Simple, tasty, and totally genius. Waste not, want not, right? Sometimes she'd even add a dash of garlic powder or chili flakes for extra zing. Served warm in a bowl with a little dip on the side, it felt like a treat, all from scraps that most people wouldn't think twice about tossing out. Hack number 22. Keep cake fresh with bread slices. Ever notice a cake go dry overnight? Not in Grandma's kitchen. She placed slices of bread on the exposed edges and gently secured them with toothpicks. The bread dried out instead of the cake, preserving the moisture where it mattered. It's the kind of trick you only learn from someone who's been baking for decades. Sometimes she'd even rotate the bread slices every few hours to keep the moisture balance just right. It was her quiet way of ensuring that every bite of cake stayed soft, spongy, and delicious, even on day 3. Hack number 23. Use cornstarch to rescue lumpy gravy. When gravy turned clumpy or watery, Grandma reached for cornstarch. A quick slurry, just a spoonful of cornstarch mixed with cold water, whisked into the pan, and boom, silky smooth gravy in seconds. It thickened without clumping and didn't alter the flavor. No more gravy disasters on Thanksgiving or any day. She always made sure to stir constantly while adding the slurry, avoiding any chance of lumps. Sometimes she added a pinch of pepper or a drop of drippings for added flavor. It wasn't just about fixing gravy, it was about saving dinner. Hack number 24. Keep bananas from ripening too fast. Bananas ripen in a hurry, especially when they're bunched together. Grandma wrapped the stems in foil or plastic wrap to slow down the ethylene gas release. It gave her a few more days before they turned brown. And if they did go soft, banana bread was always waiting. She'd even separate the bananas into singles to slow things down further. And that overripe banana? It went straight into the freezer for smoothies or muffins later. Nothing was wasted, and thanks to a little wrap, her fruit bowl always looked just right. Hack number 25. Dry herbs by hanging them upside down. Before dehydrators or fancy herb dryers, Grandma used string and sunlight. She tied herb bunches and hung them upside down in a warm, airy spot. In a few days, they were dried and ready to store in jars. The oil stayed intact, and the aroma was unbeatable, better than store-bought every time. She preferred a dark corner of the kitchen with steady airflow, and sometimes even added a brown paper bag over the bunch to keep dust off. Her herbs lasted months, rich in flavor and scent, just like her cooking. Hack number 26. Use lemon to keep rice from sticking. Sticky rice isn't always ideal. Grandma added a few drops of lemon juice while cooking white rice, and it helped keep the grains separate and fluffy. It added a tiny hint of brightness, too. A simple squeeze, no more mushy spoonfuls. The citrus acid also reduced starchiness, making cleanup easier and preventing that gummy residue on the pot. Plus, it gave the rice a subtle fresh aroma that made even leftovers more appealing the next day. Hack number 27. Chill cookie dough. Before baking, Grandma didn't rush her cookies. She let the dough chill for an hour or more before baking. The result? Thicker, chewier cookies with better texture and richer flavor. It gave the butter a chance to firm up and the flour to fully hydrate. One small step, but it made all the difference. Chilling also helped the sugars develop a deeper caramel note when baked, and the cookies didn't spread too much, keeping that bakery-style look with golden, crisp edges. Hack number 28. Use a wooden spoon to stop boilovers boiling pasta or potatoes. Grandma laid a wooden spoon across the top of the pot. It broke the surface tension and stopped the foam from overflowing. No burned stove, no nasty cleanup. Just a spoon and some old-school physics at work. Wooden spoons stay cool and won't melt or react with the heat, making them perfect for this trick. Plus, they're always within arm's reach. No gadgets required, just a little kitchen intuition passed down. Hack number 29. Keep avocados green with onion guacamole turns brown in hours, unless you do what Grandma did. She stored it in a sealed container with a chunk of raw onion. The sulfur compounds in the onion slowed the oxidation, keeping everything fresh and green. Strange, but it worked every time. She also pressed plastic wrap tightly over the top before sealing the lid, creating a double barrier against air. This trick worked not just for guac, but for avocado halves too. No more wasted fruit. Hack number 30. Roast veggies and bacon grease for depth. Whenever Grandma made roasted vegetables, carrots, Brussels sprouts, potatoes, she didn't just drizzle oil. She added a spoonful of saved bacon grease from the jar on her stove. That smoky, savory layer turned plain veggies into something you couldn't stop eating. Comfort food at its best. The grease also helped with caramelization, giving the veggies those irresistible crispy edges. And nothing went to waste. It was flavor recycling at its most delicious and practical. Hack number 31. Turn old coffee grounds into fridge deodorizers. Even after your morning cup, those used coffee grounds still had work to do. Grandma dried them out and put them in a small bowl inside the fridge. They absorbed bad smells just like baking soda. No fancy products needed, just yesterday's coffee doing double duty. She even reused them in the garage or freezer. The grounds pulled odors from garlic, onions, and fish out of the air. All natural, budget-friendly, and surprisingly effective, just like Grandma liked it. Grandma didn't grow up with gadgets or apps. She didn't rely on pre-packaged shortcuts or expensive tools. She relied on time-tested wisdom, careful observation, and a deep respect for every ingredient. These 31 food hacks may seem simple, even odd, but they worked, and they still do. In fact, they're more useful today than ever. So the next time you're in the kitchen, take a moment to channel a bit of Grandma's know-how. Waste less, taste more, and never underestimate the power of an old trick passed down with love. If you learned something new today, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite hack, and don't forget to subscribe for more timeless wisdom. Thanks for watching, and happy cooking the old-fashioned way.